The smell of motor oil and burnt rubber hung heavy in the air, a familiar perfume to Marcus. He walked into Speed and Spark, a bustling auto shop he'd poured his life into building. The place hummed with the energy of a Monday morning. Pneumatic wrenches whined, classic rock stations blared from radios, and the clang of tools on concrete was the soundtrack to his kingdom. But the harmony was broken. Near the front counter, a customer, a man in a perfectly tailored suit and shiny leather shoes, was arguing vehemently with one of the newer mechanics, a kid named Leo. The customer gestured dramatically at his sleek, black Porsche 911, which gleamed under the shop lights. "Look, I don't know what you're talking about," the customer scoffed, his voice loud and full of disdain. "I paid for a full detailing, and the interior is a mess. There's a stain on the passenger seat, and the carbon fiber on the dash is dull. I want to talk to your manager, a real professional, not some grease monkey." Leo, visibly intimidated, tried to explain. "Sir, I can assure you that." Before the kid could finish, Marcus stepped forward, his presence calm but commanding. He approached, his hands tucked into the pockets of his work pants. "I can help with that, sir. I'm in charge here." The man in the suit looked him up and down, his eyes sweeping from Marcus's work boots to the simple shop t-shirt he wore. There was an immediate condescension in his gaze. "I don't want another one of your employees," he said, the words laced with venom. "I want the manager. Maybe someone who actually knows how to treat a high-end vehicle. Or, even better, someone who looks like they belong in a place like this." The last words were a low, pointed insult, delivered with a smug smile. The chatter in the shop died down. The other customers in the waiting area grew quiet, a few of them shifting uncomfortably. They knew that kind of language wasn't welcome here. Marcus felt the familiar sting of that kind of prejudice, a feeling he'd worked his whole life to prove wrong. The sting turned to a cold, controlled anger. He took a deep breath, reminding himself to stay calm. "I assure you, I'm the right person to talk to about this." The customer's face hardened. "You're just trying to get rid of me. I'm not getting ripped off by you people. I'm taking my car, and I'm leaving a 1-star review everywhere I can. This is an embarrassment." He turned to the car, grabbed the key from the cup holder, and started the engine. The deep rumble of the Porsche echoed through the shop, an empty threat. "What's all the noise out here, Marcus?" asked one of the oldest mechanics, a gruff but loyal man named Frank, who emerged from the garage, wiping grease from his hands. The customer, who was already opening the car door, froze. He turned around slowly, the arrogant gleam in his eyes fading. "Marcus?" he repeated, his voice suddenly a whisper. Frank raised an eyebrow at the customer. "Yeah, Marcus. The owner. You got a problem with him?" The silence that followed was deafening. Every eye in the shop was on a man in the suit, whose face had gone pale. The confident sneer was gone, replaced by a look of dawning, gut-wrenching horror. He had just humiliated the man who owned the entire shop. He tried to stammer something, the words catching in his throat. I didn't know. I'm sorry." But it was too late. The damage was done. Marcus watched the man, the cold anger giving way to a weary sadness. He said nothing. There was nothing to say. Just a silence and stares from everyone in the room, which spoke louder than any words. The customer, utterly shamed, got into his Porsche and drove out of the shop, the engine's roar now sounding like a whimper. Continuation. The shop remained quiet for a moment. Then Frank clapped Marcus on the back. "Don't you worry, boss," he said. "We know who you are." Marcus nodded, his hand on his friend's shoulder. "I know," he said. "Thanks, Frank." He turned to Leo, who still looked shell-shocked. "Leo, go on and finish that engine. And next time, if someone has a problem, you let them know the owner will take care of it." Leo nodded, his eyes fixed on Marcus. The gratitude in his look was clear. Marcus picked up a wrench and headed back into the garage. The scene was over, but the sting of the insult would linger. He knew that customer would never come back. He also knew that this wasn't just about a car detailing. It was about something deeper. It was about people who judge others by their appearance, by their clothes, by the color of their skin. People who believe that certain jobs, certain places, belonged to only one kind of person. And Marcus, with his successful shop, was living proof that they were wrong. He took a deep breath, exhaling the frustration. The smell of motor oil and burnt rubber didn't seem so familiar anymore. Instead, it felt like a reminder of what he had overcome, and what he still had to overcome. He knew this wouldn't be the last time he was underestimated, but he also knew that he was the owner of Speed and Spark, and he had no intention of letting someone else's ignorance dim his light.